Hi everybody, it's Wendy from Ask the Landlady, and I'm here with all the tips and tricks to help you make a profit in real estate rentals. And we've been talking about people renting your properties and who's allowed to be there, who's not. And somebody asked me, can I legally limit the amount of occupants that I will allow to live in one of my units? Okay, so can you limit the occupants? That's a great question. You are still in control of the property, so you can limit occupants, but you must be mindful of those fair housing laws. I have some other videos and stuff in my book, Lessons from the Landlady, check it out on Amazon, about fair housing. So if you're in a question about that, definitely check out those resources or go to the fairhousing.gov internet their site and educate yourself, because it's very important that you don't violate any laws and discriminate against people based on fair housing. So occupancy limits also can vary by state. So you want to check your local laws. Usually in general, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or what we would call HUD, has mandated that public housing agencies must set reasonable occupancy limits to not overcrowd units and to not decrease the number of vacancies in the community, right? There's a balance there. So most property owners use the HUD's suggested standard, which is 2 people per bedroom, okay? Because obviously if you have a family of 5, they can't live in a studio apartment, right? That's not viable. That's not going to work out. So you would have grounds to say that's your occupancy standard on that studio apartment would be 2. It'd be a couple living there, or a mother and a child, that type of thing. That is something that would be allowable under HUD guidelines there. So there's some factors that you want to consider when you're thinking about how you're going to limit occupancy on your different types of units. And the first one is the number of adults that are living on the property. All adults over the age of 18 should complete a background check. I always say that, and people are going to try to sneak people in, and then you're going to realize there's too many people here for the unit. So you want to be very careful to talk about occupancy as number of occupants. Don't talk about limiting it to no children. Okay, never say that. You're not allowed to discriminate against people who have children or people who don't have children. Can't discriminate. So you don't talk about that. You talk about the number of occupants living in the property, not number of children and that type of thing. So again, go by that standard of 2 occupants per unit, whether it be parent-child or 2 parents, whatever. That's your thing. You're not going to say no children allowed here, only 2 adults. No, don't do that. No. Clear violation. Okay. Another factor that you want to consider is age of children living on a property, because obviously if you have like a baby, that's kind of doesn't even count. That baby can live in a dresser drawer. That's how they used to do it back in the old days. Babies can fit about anywhere. They're not going to be counting as one of your occupants. General rule of thumb on that HUD usually goes by is over the age of 4 on that, because they are small and can fit on a little toddler bed somewhere in a corner of a room and type thing. It's not to where they would need their own bedroom, where you could start to think about those types of occupancy things. And usually by that time, somebody's coming in, the family with a baby, usually they know they need to grow and get a bigger unit at some point in time, right? We all start out small and try to get there, but these are just some guidelines you can keep in place, so when people come to you, you can say why they don't meet your occupancy standards for that unit. Okay. Another thing is size and number of bedrooms. Obviously, that's going to determine how many occupants you can have there. And in general, there are some square footage things that guidelines you can go to HUD 2 that will tell you what square footage actually constitute a bedroom. Because a lot of times people try to say that they have a 3-bedroom house, but 1 bedroom is really a closet. Okay. And so they're trying to get more rent out and put more occupants in there, but that's probably not going to fly, because there are certain standards for what square footage should be for those types of rooms. And the configuration, because a lot of times you'll have, HUD does not allow you to consider the kitchen a bedroom, right? The kitchen is a different usage, Now, if you're trying to say something is a 2-bedroom plus an office, and the office is big enough to be a bedroom, that's really a 3-bedroom, okay? And I go for the 3-bedroom. You're going to get more money out of it that way. If they want to turn it into an office, great. But you can't allow a family to come in and say, oh, don't worry, our kids are going to sleep in the kitchen. Okay, that has a different usage, that room. And that's something that wouldn't fly and you wouldn't have to accept, because it really doesn't work for the type of space that you are renting out. Obviously, think about health and safety codes. and some limiting factors, like if you have a septic tank or a sewer capacity, or there's some building codes in some cities that you have that would limit the fact that you would not allow 10 people to live in this unit. Okay, so those are all standards that you can go by and think about. And again, I always tell you, think in advance, because people are going to try to push it. People are going to come and try to push the limits. So you need to have a real clear plan in place for why you are limiting occupancy. So, and of course, the other factor to just consider is the possibility at a later date that someone will want to add a new person to the lease. You get a new boyfriend, their friend gets evicted and wants to move in with them, whatever. Their parents, they have one of their parents dies and they want to bring mom home. All these factors are things that happen because we're human beings and our families ebb and flow and they grow. So you want to have a clear plan in place in your lease, a legal way for them to add people to the lease. If it makes sense, if they have room, it's a 3-bedroom home and there's just a couple living there and they want to move somebody in to help pay the rent, that can be allowed for occupancy, but you still are in charge of who comes into your property. So you can require and should require a background check with a fee, a lease modification fee because it costs more money. And if there's some utilities included or it's just more wear and tear in the apartment and you had a lease in place based on this couple, you can ask for more rent because you're pulling somebody in and there's a water bill involved. Obviously, they're going to be showering and doing more laundry, and those are all factors that are going to make your expenses rise. So you should be compensated accordingly for that. So again, make sure in your lease you clearly state who the occupants are and ways to add occupants at a later date in a legal fashion where they have to come to you and do that. Because then if you find out there's a whole other family living there that shouldn't be there, you have grounds for an eviction, a lease violation, clear way to ask them to leave because they are violating your lease by not going through the proper channels to actually add somebody to that lease. So again, it's not easy being a landlord or landlady, so we're all in this together. I'd love to hear your comments, your questions. Shoot them in the comments, email me, go to my website, askthelandlady.com, and I'd love to hear from you so we can talk about this so that we can all be better and at the end of the day, make more money. Thanks. Have a great day.